These thoughts up in my head, things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here. I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm your host, Ed, and as always, journey with me as we pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. Here we are back again with another week, another blessing, another day to be grateful for. So, that's what we're doing. So shout out to all of you. If you are returning, welcome back. I hope that things are going well for your life. I hope that we're getting one step closer to not overthinking and feeling so anxious. And to those that are new, welcome. I hope that you enjoy what you hear. Basically, my podcast is simple. Try to help us to pursue greatness in a world full of chaos. There's so much that's going on in life. There's so many things that are happening around us. Things that we can control, things that we can't control, that kind of throw our mind into a spiral. We have to find a way to better ourselves, better our lives, and not be anxious or worry or feel like the world is coming down on us. So we try to find ways to just maintain and stay better. So a couple house rules. If you are new and this is your first time and you love what you hear, feel free to like and subscribe over on the YouTube channel at the Overthinking Thoughts Podcast. And you can also follow us on social media outlets, which I'll explain in a second. For those that are returning, make sure you share the messages, put them on your IG stories, repost them on TikTok, like and subscribe on YouTube. That will be helpful and grateful so we can get the algorithming or whatever. Yeah, you get it. But anyway, if you do want to follow me or hear what I have to say, we are over on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Google Podcasts. And of course, the visuals are on YouTube, all at the Overthinking Thoughts Podcast. And then if you want to follow us over on social media, we are on Instagram at Overthinking Thoughts Pod and also at TikTok on Overthinking Thoughts Pod. So feel free to subscribe, like, follow, all those good things. All right. Okay. This week, we're going to talk about highs and lows because I can tell you that I've experienced them. I had to take a step back from, I really had to step back last week. Mentally, I was everywhere except where I needed to be. Physically, I was tired. And I realized that like a lot of people around me were feeling the same way. So as I was navigating life, I would say there were just a lot of things that I was trying to control that I don't have control over, and things that I did have control over that just weren't going the way I wanted them to go. So that part was hard. And it started making me think like, how do you face those times? Like, how do you handle those times? Luka Doncic said it best. Everybody talk when they winning. He talked about that in game 6. Devin Booker was running his mouth after they won. And in game 7, Luka stood on business and they won by like 40 points. It got me to thinking like we will glamorize the highs for sure. Like we get a new job promotion, new car, new land, new house, whatever the case may be. We want to stunt. We want to be fly. We want to flex. Like that's just part of the way things are in life now, which is cool. Like I don't mind it. If you fought hard for it and you earned it, man, go for it. You should celebrate your wins. But I've also noticed that when the lows come, some of us really give up a lot quicker than what we should. I had a conversation with a young lady the other day who was telling me just about her path and her life. And it was crazy because I'm listening to her talk. She's got an intelligent mind, but just the work ethic wasn't there. And it was like whatever that this person was facing before, whenever a hard time or a conflict or something out of the ordinary popped up, you go back to that place of how you survive, and some people shut down. And she's like, I just shut down. Like talking about it makes me realize that I should have kept going, but at the same time, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So we had this whole conversation about the confidence and belief in oneself. It's like when you feel low, it's as if you forget all the things that you possess. You forget your good qualities, you forget your intelligence, you forget how confident you can be, you forget how brave you are, because you're allowing this temporary emotion to overtake all of the positive qualities of yourself. And I think it's easier for us to forget those things because when we're in that space, we go back to the moments of where we try to survive. For a lot of us, when we tried to survive, we just gave up. We rolled over. We felt like it was too much. That carries on with you throughout life if you've never faced that adversity. But I think that when you feel the lows, you also have to look for the greater good that is in here, because there's got to be something you hold on to. You're experiencing this for a reason. It's not just because, like, there's something in this that you're going to take, build off of, and grow from. But you got to be able to be open for it. You got to be willing to go through it, and also, when it's time to handle business, you just handle business and stand on what you believe in, regardless of the emotion, regardless of the feelings, um, regardless of the circumstances, because you know the one that you serve already has victory. We just got to go through the process. And so, as these things are happening, it's like we just have such a tough time with ourselves. Like, the confidence level is always something that throws us off. The belief system, when you have never heard someone tell you they believe in you, or they're supporting you, or they're encouraging you, or they're pushing you, it can be very hard for you to see that within yourself. We do a really good job of running to others when they're down, and you know who I'm talking to. My overthinkers, my worriers, my anxiety ridden folks who we know we got stuff to deal with, but when other people are going through it, we're like, oh no, I got it, and we can fix other people's problems, and we can be the best that we can be and help them through everything. And that's great. Like, we feel good about it temporarily, but then, like, what about us? What about who we are? You spend so much time giving your energy to everybody else that the person who needs it the most is depleted because you done wasted it all. And I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to go help others, but what I am saying is, how can you be helpful if you're not even helping yourself? You really got to look at that and analyze that from your situations and where you are and what you're dealing with. But I really think that, we do spend a lot of time just not, we don't pick up on that well. The lows can be very, very low. And it feels like sometimes, and some of you out there right now, like, I'll speak to this, you probably feel like you're buried. You probably feel like no matter what you do, no matter how many steps you take, no matter how much progress, no matter how much positive thinking, you just feel buried, and you just feel that weight that just keeps sitting right there on your shoulders, and it gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And you're just like, how am I supposed to break through this? I would challenge you to look at these things more as stepping stones rather than barriers. I would challenge you to change your thinking. I would challenge you to change your behavior. I would challenge you to challenge the what ifs, because a lot of us come up with negative what ifs. When things are low, we always come up with the worst case scenarios of what could happen, what did happen, how did it happen, why did it happen, and so on and so forth. But at the same time, what if you are successful? What if you do pass this class? What if you do get that job promotion? What if that girl you've been wanting to ask out does say yes? What if you do get the raise? What if you do get the property? What if you do get the house that you put the bid on? Like, why we can't think positive too? I feel like that's something that we don't do well, me included. And I think it's something that we definitely need to look at and say, all right, if we're going to do this, let's do it the right way, and not put so much power on the negatives, but rather put that energy into the positives. And that's really been sitting heavy with me this week, just because, you know, my anxiety's been through the roof. And in a full transparent moment, I think yesterday was probably the worst it's been in a while. And I really wasn't doing anything crazy. I was trying to help somebody else out of a situation, which I think what then told me, hey, you need to take care of you too, because I was just trying to figure out, like, what I'm gonna do for my wife, my kids, and then I got to meet with these people and try to help them with their situations. And sometimes the business at hand that we're supposed to be dealing with can't really get dealt with yet because there's other barriers or issues that are in the way. So before I can even get to that point, I got to make sure that we handle this first and try to give them confidence to be able to move forward. But if I don't give myself the same type of love and empathy, then I'm just gonna end up on E. And I can't do that. I got a family, I got a wife, I got things I got to do. So it's all in, like, going back to self-care. You definitely have to take care of yourself. It's not selfish, it's not a self-centered thing. It is you making sure that the energy that you have, you protect, because a lot of times we don't do that. And so it's all about making sure that we put ourselves in the right position to do well, to get better, to grow, and live a life that is really good. Um Lows, being in a low spot sucks. Feeling like you can't win, that's not a good feeling. Feeling like you, no matter what you do, there's no hope. Like, that's a bad place to be. But I think the challenge is to look within yourself mentally. Like, look inside of yourself and find those positives. Just because you low doesn't mean that you got to bury all the good things with it. And just because you're in that situation right now, it's not final destination. It's not the end of your story. It might be the end of a chapter, but that just means when you turn the page, there's a new part of the story to write. So don't stay stuck, grounded. If you're gonna be buried, why not grow through it? Why not be the rose that came from concrete? Why not be the one that could show off his petals and realize that although what was intended to damage you actually helped you flourish? Why not be that person? Those are not our favorite, but there are there are lessons in those things. So I challenge you to look at it from a different perspective. And for those that are experiencing the highs, like, yeah, I'm happy for you, man. Like, I want you to experience success. I want you to enjoy yourself. I want you to be able to wake up and smile. I do. What I don't want, though, is for you to think that you're so above everybody else that nobody else matters. There's so many times where people reach a certain point or a certain plateau and they just think like they got it all. And those people that were with them in the trenches, they forget about them and they're like, oh, I'm here now. So, like, there's nothing that anybody can tell me. You could be so high that you forget the common sense things that you're supposed to do and end up right in a low spot, quick, fast, and in a hurry. We've seen celebrities do it. I'm sure you've seen people that have let things go to their head. Now, one minute they on top of the world, the next minute they at the bottom. And the crazy part about highs and lows is it can change quick. It can. A person that was on high can easily drop. I mean, I relate everything to sports. So, LSU's women's basketball team coming in as number one. They on top of the world. They done won the national championship. They got the new transfer in. Everything is looking good. And then 2 games into the season, they lose. Like, it happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things can happen. But in the same breath, if you are at that high level and then all of a sudden you find yourself in a predicament that you weren't prepared for, how do you overcome that? Like, who are you when adversity hits? What type of person are you? What type of mind do you have? What type of focus do you have? You know what I mean? Like, who are you when times get rough, when the chips are down? Like, who's that person that steps up? Is it the strong and courageous person that we're called to be, or is it the person that just kind of shuts down? Understanding and knowing that, yeah, there are things that may have happened that takes a longer time to process, but you can't stay in that spot forever, especially in a world full of growth. And especially when you have a purpose and you've been called to do something. Like, we waiting on you. I say it all the time. Like, there's so many people waiting on you to achieve what you're supposed to achieve. There's so many people waiting for you to come out of that spot. There's so many people that are counting on you to show them how to overcome these things and how to walk with faith and how to walk with a purpose and how to walk with their head high, even when it seems like everything's coming at them. Like, there's people waiting for that. But if you still stuck at the start line and you never take the time to take off, then what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's gonna happen next? So that's that's what I see. That's the things that I'm trying to, like, help people overcome and try to help myself overcome. I go back to actually recently, my son we were out at the park. He was trying to, shoot some foul shots to reach a certain point. He got mad because he didn't make it. He was upset that, you know, things didn't go the way that he planned it in his mind. And instead of looking at it and trying to figure out a way to grow from it, he let his emotions get the best of him. And it took him to a place of anger and emotion. And it took away everything that he worked for. And I was telling him, like, man, as a coach, if I'm watching you act like this, there's no way I could play you. But if I watch you struggle, if I watch you miss shots, if I watch you go out there and still give 100% effort, even when things aren't going your way, that's the person I want. Because regardless of the situation, you still have hope. And for some of us, we've lost that hope along the way. Some of us will see people on those high points and only think of that and think, man, if I could just get there. But the reality is like in your low, that's where you're building yourself to go. But if you're giving up on it, how do you expect to ever reach that point? Once again, I never want you to give up on yourself. I never want you to be in a position where you feel like no matter what you do, you can't win. Yeah, you can win. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It's all in the mind. It's all in the heart. You got to get these two in agreement. If your heart is telling you to chase after it, but you're telling yourself that you're not going to make it, guess what's going to happen? You're not, because you keep talking to yourself over and over again about what you can't do. And if it's that powerful to get you to quit, could you imagine what it would be like if you actually spoke positive thoughts in your head and said, I know it's challenging, but I'm going to see myself through this. I know that it's never been done before, but it doesn't mean that I can't do it. I know the odds are against me, but what if I'm the one person that defies the odds? What if I'm that person? Like, why can't you think positive in that situation? Why can't you feel that way? Why can't you go after goals and dreams and ambitions that you've had with a positive mindset? You are not the mistakes that you've made. You are not the things that have happened to you. You are not the things that were designed to try to destroy you. You're none of those things. You are more than a conqueror, and you are above those things. And it's in the scriptures, like what the devil intended for bad, God will use for your good. God will turn that into a testimony. You got to believe in that, though. I was watching a TikTok creator, and she was talking about that, like how everything that was designed, what she felt like was trying to destroy her, was actually being used for her greater good, and it allowed her platform to grow bigger into something that what was looked at as a strong weakness per se has now become the strength of her voice and become the strength of her faith and the strength of her wisdom. So like it can definitely happen. It can happen, but I got to get you to see the good within yourself and just take the first step. One thing I do want to speak on is those people who are envious of both. And here's what I mean. We'll start with the highs first. You know those people. The ones that are jealous of all the success that's going on above them because it's not happening to them. The ones that are so frustrated that other people are going after things and they don't have it, or they feel like they deserve this, or they feel like they should be there, or they feel like they're better than, whatever, fill in the blank. What are you doing to get to that point? Because if you just standing still and you stagnant, man, there's no success in that. There's no progress and you procrastinating. My homeboy Q, who was my assistant coach a while back, one of the strongest dudes I know. He used to come in and tell the kids 5 P's, and we used to make the kids recite it all the time. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. If you are not properly prepared, you will perform poorly. It's that simple. So if you sitting up here hating on the next man that has worked his tail off to get to the top, and you just sitting there hoping somebody's going to give you a handout, you just going to get passed by. Standing still never made progress. You got to find a way to take the next step. And even if you crawl into that step, that is progress because you are moving forward. Hating on the next man does not make you a successful person. Congratulating the person when it's their turn will help you to be more grateful for what you get when it's your turn. And then you could take that wisdom and pass it down to those that are trying to get to the next level. There's growth in that. There's leadership in that. But too many times we're more caught up on look at me, look at me, look at me, that we take our eyes off of the ones that need it the most, especially when you supposed to be the one that's breaking the trends and breaking the chains and overcoming those generational curses. You do that, but then you don't give back. Then what is the purpose of being in that position? In the same respect, though, if you see somebody being low and you see them going through hard times, but you contributing to kicking dirt on them when they're at their lowest point, you ain't no good, man. Ain't no good. We all about growth here. We supposed to stay positive in this life. And I understand that this world is crazy. Everybody's on this competition to, even the reality shows it that way. You can't even get into a relationship without having to fight somebody on these shows. You can't even have civil conversations and not have somebody hate on what you're doing. Everything is a competition. Every single thing is a competition. For what? Like that, I mean, I get it. I guess that's the American dream. That's what they painted. That's what they want you to do. They want you to overcome and step over people and betray them and do all that. That ain't, I mean, I'm not in the business to betray nobody. I can't do that. I mean, when I was younger, I guess I thought that was glamorous. But now as I get older, I realize betrayal is terrible. Helping others, that's where I find my joy. Helping people find what they're passionate about, that's my joy. Helping people move into their peace and make progress, I enjoy that. I don't enjoy watching people's downfall. I don't want to see somebody kick when they down. I actually want to see them make it through so I can learn from what they've experienced. That's what I want to do. I want to know how you made it from here to here when you should have gave up. But instead of giving up, you just gave more effort and now you're in a position that nobody thought you would be. I want to know how you defeated the odds. Like that's what I want to read. I don't want to hear the story about, man, I was down and they just kept kicking dirt on my name. Too many people lose sight of the goal after that. And if you're supposedly making progress, you shouldn't even have time to be doing that. You're going to look back and see somebody down. Make sure you picking them up when you do it. If you're going to look down on somebody, put your hand out to pick them up. That's my thought. Because we experience way too much in this world as is. There's way too much heartbreak. There's way too much animosity. There's way too many wars. There's way too much of back and forth. There's the racial debates. There's the gender things. There's religion. There's politics. There's all these things that everybody fights over. So we got enough chaos in the world as is. When do we decide that that's enough and we decide that we can actually help each other and build? Like, the world will be such a better place, but maybe I'm just naive and maybe I'm dreaming. I don't know. But I'll keep dreaming because I think it can happen. That's my thought. It's I ain't gonna lie, man. Like sometimes it's very hard to stay positive in those moments, but man, there's hope. There's hope in the future. If you're a scripture reader, Jeremiah 29:11, I know the plans I have for you. And I take that serious because I remember I was going through a tough time in life, and it seemed like in the craziest moments, no matter where I was going, like every spot that I went to, either I found that verse, it was hanging up somewhere, or somebody was sending it to me. So it was just like at a certain time, I was like, all right, cool. I know I'm gonna be all right. And I'm in a good spot now. I mean, I still have my moments. And clearly, I'm still fighting with this anxiety thing. I'm still trying to like figure out how I'm gonna provide for my people. But every day I wake up, I try to find a way. I pray this becomes lucrative. I pray that this grows bigger, not necessarily for like money purposes, but just I would love to be a voice. But I had to start it too. I had a headset that like that wasn't a low moment, but I definitely had my moment to like the first video I ever put out. Like within the first day, I was like, oh wow, I got like 20 some views. Or no, like I got like 60 or something. I was like, oh, this is great. So I'm thinking like automatically I'm already gonna get that. I think like the next one got like 2. So I got humbled quick. But I'm not gonna let it deter me. I understand that when I'm at my high moments, be grateful. When I'm in my low moments, be thankful. And I should be thankful for the low moments because that's going to allow me to grow into the high moments of my life. Those moments are going to put me where I need to be and draw me closer to where I need to go because I'll be more focused. I have decided not to let lows fully take away my drive and my energy. Although I have had moments where I've struggled, and I want to be transparent with you. I want to speak positive to your life, but I also want you to know, like, I ain't got it all figured out, and I'm still working on it. I have my low moments. I have my times where I'm down. I have my times where I feel like I'm disconnected with the world. I do. I recently had it, and thank God for my good friends, Arcane Folk, because they called me out on it. They specifically told me, and this is how I know they real. They called me and was like, "Bro, we ain't heard from you in like a few weeks. Like, you straight?" And I'm just like, "Man, I'm trying to make it." And the next words out of their mouth was, "Yeah, we was on the way if you weren't gonna answer." Like that simple. Like, we was gonna figure it out. We was gonna come down there. We was gonna figure out what you was doing. And he's like, "We got the address. We ain't tripping." I appreciate them brothers for that, because that mean they got love for me. And that gave me a lot of encouragement to know that, like, yeah, I don't get a chance to talk to my people all the time. I don't even get a chance to see them all the time. But at the same time, I know that if I need something, they got me. And that's real. That's mad real. That helped. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been in some spots, man. I done seen some things. I done dealt with some heartbreak. Other people's heartbreak that has impacted me just because they have been close to me. That can weigh heavy on you. That's why I talk about the self-care, because that's important. You know what I mean? Like, it's important for you to take care of yourself. It's also important for you to recognize where you are in life right now. If you're on your way to reaching that high moment, like, I want you to go after it. I want you to achieve it, and I want you to go with full effort and do it to the best of your ability. If you're in a low moment, just understand that there's something there that you need to gain before you can advance to the next step. So don't let that break you. Don't let that shake you. And don't let it make you, because it doesn't define who you are. It doesn't dictate what you can do. It's the breeding ground for what you can become. But don't you let it bury you. You can't. You have so much to give to this world. I'm talking to somebody right now. Listen to me. You have so much to give to this world. You got so many great ideas. You got great visions. You got great goals. You're a beautiful soul inside and out. You're a person that people will count on. You're a person that people will listen to. You are a person that someone is going to want to follow. But you got to trust in you. You got to believe in you. You can't get discouraged when things go wrong. You can't run away when we see adversity. We got to face that thing. It's really going to show who we are in those tough moments. And when you break through, because you will break through, when you break through, watch how many people and watch how many souls get saved because of your obedience, your drive, and the fact that you never gave up on you. It's major what you can do when you put your mind to it. So, in the midst of highs and lows, in the midst of things that are happening this week, here's, my task this week. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to challenge you each day to think positive. I'm going to challenge you each day to find one good thing about you. And then I want you to build off that daily. When you wake up the next day, be grateful for the day that you have, find another positive and build off that. Even if you got to write it down and just write down the good things that have happened. I understand that circumstances may come your way and you might be in a dark spot right now. You may be in a storm, but thank God for the rain that is cleansing you. Thank God for the fact that the storm is here, because you know that once it clears, you'll have a clear vision of where you're supposed to go. It doesn't mean that you're going to stay in rough terrain the whole time. It just means that something better is being prepared. And when you get through it, oh, how beautiful it's going to be. When you think about how a storm clears up and the clouds kind of part and the sun comes out, dries up everything, it's a beautiful moment. And it's as if like that had to happen in order for you to see and appreciate how beautiful that path is. Well, that's where you are right now. So start thinking positive and start putting yourself in a position to do well, and give yourself breaks and give yourself self-care and rest when you need to. Do all these things. Stay positive about who you are. Don't allow negative talk to infiltrate your mind. Instead, put those positive thoughts in your mind of what you can do and how strong you are and how courageous you are and what you've come through, because where you were before is not where you are now. And that is progress within itself. So see that, celebrate that, live that, and love that. And more importantly, above all other things, everything that's happening in this world, all the crazy stuff that's going on, I get it. There's a lot that's happening. Don't lose sight of who you are and don't lose sight of your goals. Stay true to yourself, stay positive, and more importantly, continue to love who you are, whether it's high or low, but know that you have a purpose. And remember, I believe in you. Now go believe in yourself. Overthinking Thoughts Pod. I'm Ed. We out.
These thoughts up in my head. Things I never did. I took some L's, but I'm still here. I got these thoughts up in my head. I toss and turn about some things I never said. I got regrets about some things I never did. I took some risks and took some L's, but I'm still here. And I know.